Hey there. Today I want to talk about digital retailing and what it means to be a digital retailer. Digital retailing and being a digital retailer is a mindset. It is the way that we act. It's the things that we do, not the tech that we have. And I think a lot of dealers kind of miss that fact, and a lot of new people in internet sales miss the fact that it's not about the tech, but it's about what we actually do with it and how we communicate with customers in this digital retailer era. So to that end, I want to talk a little bit about providing a sight unseen appraisal for used cars. This is probably one of the biggest differentiations between how a digital retailer thinks versus the way a old school mentality car person thinks. Now, I've been selling cars a long time. I've been in this business since I was about that tall. I spent over 20 years in automotive retail as a salesperson, a BDC manager, an internet sales department manager, a new car manager, a used car manager, a general sales manager, an operator, all levels of retail automotive. And I spent a lot of time there. And while I was there, I was very successful. I wasn't an 8-car guy. I was a 22-car guy. I was a 24-car guy. I was a 28-car guy. So that is the experience of the way that I'm going to be sharing this information about transitioning from an old school retailer to a digital retailer. Today, specifically, looking at a sight unseen appraisal. So the old school retailer, how would they handle providing a sight unseen appraisal? Well, I can tell you that the way that I was taught on how to handle a sight unseen appraisal is I can't tell you, you have to bring it in. I could only give you an idea. I could only give you a range. And then just moving away from actually providing transparency into the sales process and into avoiding, evading, and obfuscating the sales process. Now, when customers call the dealership, when customers submit a request on a dealership's website, what they're looking at doing is streamlining their purchase process. And as we move into a new era of digital, including the way that customers will interact with AI, what customers are looking for today is a digital-centric process. But at the end of the day, it's not about the tools, it's not about your website technology, but it's about the way that you think. It's about the way that you use that technology to remove the friction of a sales process and increase transparency, increase the ability to answer customers' questions. So how can you do that? Well, one way to do that, which is highly recommended, is let's move into the direction of the customer's questions. The customer is looking to find out what their vehicle is worth. Let's answer that question. We want to answer it in a way that's going to provide full transparency into the process, but at the same time, what we want to be able to do is to move that customer away from being on the phone or through email communication or through SMS communication and get them into the dealership showroom. So it's a balance between answering the questions and encouraging agreement. So how can we do this? Well, with Express Cash Offer, part of Intice 360, we have a technology that you can provide a customer a real offer in real time. If you are using Express Cash Offer on your dealership website right now, customers are going through this process at record numbers. Today versus 2 months ago, customers are extremely interested in finding out what their trade is worth. And by providing a real offer in real time, all the way down to the VIN, you're going to create separation between your dealership and your competition. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and share with you the way that I would handle the sight unseen customer as they would be calling into the dealership. So to do that, what I'm going to do is let me just go ahead and share my screen. So I'm going to pull up a Acura dealership website. And here I'm going to use our Express Cash Offer technology. Now I can do that a few different ways. I can just go ahead and click right on to a primary call to action right on the home page of the website. That's going to bring me right into our dedicated landing page for Express Cash Offer. We have our Express Cash Offer interactive banner right here. I can go ahead and hit click offer, and it's going to bring me to the entry page for Express Cash Offer. So let's just set the stage a little bit. Let's say, for example, a customer just called your dealership and said, hey, I have a 2023 Acura MDX. I'm thinking about trading it. Can you tell me what that vehicle is worth? Now, the old school car guy, how would we have handled that? Oh, I can't tell you. You have to bring the vehicle in. We're going to move past that, and we're going to move into the direction of agreement. We're going to move into the direction of providing information, and we're going to remove that friction of I don't know, I can't tell you, you have to come in. So how we can do that is let the customer know that, hey, more than happy to provide you an offer for your vehicle. We actually have a tool right on our dealership website that's dedicated to providing you a real offer in real time. And all it takes is to just get a little bit of information. Do you have a few minutes to do this with me right now? Customer says yes. Wonderful. Now what I can do is I can move back into my Express Cash Offer, and then let's just start the process. Okay, so the first thing that I need to get from you is your VIN number. Now, before I go there, let me just take a minute and share with you a little special tool that we have. And one of the little special tools we have is the ability to move this Express Cash Offer tool, a digital retailer-centric technology, into showroom mode. I click that little icon right there. I type in a special little code. We create a special little code for each one of our dealerships. And you can see right here, now we're in showroom mode. Why is that important? It's important because this is not going to generate a lead from your dealerships into your dealership's CRM, but this gives us the ability to fully create this Express Cash Offer. So now, back into my script. Hey, be more than happy to provide you a real offer for your vehicle. Do you have a few minutes to go through the process right now? Great. The first thing I need to get is your VIN number. We're going to go ahead and ask the customer for the VIN number. This also brings up a big question that a lot of dealers have, is the fact that customers aren't willing, or they don't understand how to get their VIN number. And the old school dealer, the old school retailer thinks that we don't want to ask the customer for their actual VIN number because it's hard. The new school digital retailer understands it's very easy for a customer to get the VIN number. All they have to do is open up their phone, open up their insurance application, and boom, they have their ID number. And also, a lot of vehicles now have apps, and they have that VIN number inside the app for that vehicle. So, old school thinking, don't use the VIN number. New school thinking, just ask the customer for the VIN. You get the VIN number. You get the miles. And you ask the customer, okay, the next piece of information is that I need how many miles? Okay, I got 31,240 miles. Now, the next step, I'm going to go ahead and click Get Offer. Now, I need to get your first name. Can you tell me your first name? Customer says, yep, actually, we'll use one of our test customers, Carrie, your last name. So if you think about the process of how a phone up can work, somebody's calling into the dealership, you're going through your script, they say, hey, I have this 2023 Honda or Acura MDX. I would like to get a trade-in value. Can you provide that for me? Old school thinking, I don't know, I can't tell you. The number is going to have to come from my used vehicle manager. When can you come in? New school thinking is, hey, no problem, happy to do that. We actually have a tool right on our dealership website. It's Express Cash Offer. It'll only take a few minutes. Do you got some time right now? Now, just think about how that customer is going to interpret that experience when they call the dealership for a trade-in value. And now we're putting the customer into the position to give us all of this information. What is your first name? What is your last name? What is your email address? What is your phone number? Oops. And so this is a great little thing. I just plugged in what is not considered a real email address. I typed in Carrie@Intice.com. Now, even though my domain, Intice.com, is a catch-all, meaning that if you type in Carrie at Intice.com. It's actually going to go through a catch-all address. But since it's not a registered valid email address, our system is automatically going to kick that as an invalid email. We do the exact same thing for phone numbers as well. This is one way that we're able to make sure that we're getting good quality information. New school, digital retailer way, let's get good quality data from our technology. So I enter in, put my real email address in there real quick. And then, okay, after asking the customer for their first name and their last name, their email address and their phone number, you can see that this automatically did decode this vehicle as a 2023 Acura MDX. Now, I'm going to go back into my script mode. Okay, so the next piece of information I need is we actually rate your vehicle. I need you to rate your vehicle between 1 and 4 stars. 1 star means that your vehicle is kind of rough, and 4 stars basically means that the vehicle is brand new. Between 1 to 4, how would you rate your vehicle? This is such a great question, and this is going to tie into exactly what happens when the customer visits the dealership showroom, because we're going to move the customer to visit the dealership showroom. How do we do it? Customer says, well, I think it's 3 stars. Great. We don't want to challenge the customer. We'll ask any questions if they want to dig a little bit further, but it's a real simple question. Rate your vehicle between 1 and 4 stars. Great, no problem. Boom. Now we go to the next step. Now, the way our technology works, we also try to remove friction from the sales process. We use a dedicated API that taps into the most dynamic data set that's provided by Black Book. This allows us to decode a vehicle all the way down to the year, make, model, trim, hard adds, and hard deducts like 40% more often than any other system on the planet. This is going to give me up to the minute data by tapping into this API. And if there is any information that we need to get from the customer that is going to make a difference to the evaluation, this is where that's going to show up. It's going to show up right on the top here. Now, in this case, nothing is showing up as far as options, navigation, wheels, sunroof. It already knows all of that information. Now, I can ask these questions. These are great questions to kind of bring the customer down the process. We know that we're going to give the customer a real offer. So asking the customer something like, hey, does your vehicle include both keys and remotes? Does your vehicle include the maintenance records? Does your vehicle include the owner's manual? Have you ever had an insurance claim on your vehicle? Has your vehicle ever been smoked in? Has this vehicle ever been used as a rideshare or for Uber? Great qualifying questions, getting down to the nitty-gritty, providing real value to the customer as they really want to get a real value for their vehicle. I say next because the customer said no to each one of those. Now we're going to get to the point where we could upload images of the vehicle. For this experience, I'm going to go ahead and upload these, although you wouldn't be able to have photos of your vehicle, your customer's vehicle at this point. But for this example, I'm just going to go ahead and show you some of the way that we can use these images. So I'm going to go front of the vehicle. I'm going to go rear of the vehicle. I'm going to go odometer of the vehicle, passenger side of the vehicle, driver side of the vehicle, and VIN number of the vehicle. All right, so I got all those loaded in. I'm just going to go ahead and click next. Boom, there is my express cash offer. And you can say this to your customer. Okay, so your express cash offer based on 3 stars is $37,965. Now, as you're going through this process, I want you to be aware of that we're going to give this customer actually a range between $35,462 and $39,216. So you can say to the customer, now this $37,965 is based on the vehicle being in 3 stars. Now, what I've personally seen many times when when my used vehicle manager is able to actually see the vehicle, they're able to increase this value sum. They may give you our 4-star rating, which is $39,216. And I've even seen where they've even gone more than that if they feel like it's the perfect vehicle for our inventory. And I can tell you, this is a perfect vehicle for our used vehicle inventory. But your value today, right now, for a 3-star rating is $37,965. I'm going to go ahead and click next. Now, in order for us to validate what that actual cash value is for your vehicle, I would like to invite you down for a vehicle inspection. We've already just kind of built that into our UI right here. So when would be a good time for you to come in for your vehicle inspection? Later this afternoon, or would this evening be better? So what I've done there, if you've watched any of my other videos, one of the main techniques of a digital retailer is to use urgency to get the customer to come into the dealership. We create urgency by talking with urgency, meaning that, hey, right now, it's 12:52 right now. So I'm going to ask the customer, hey, do you want to come in right away this afternoon, or would this evening be better? I'm going to assume that the customer wants to come in right away, so I'm going to give them those options. Now, if it is 5 p.m., I would say to the customer, do you want to come in right away this evening, or would tomorrow morning be better? So I'm dividing the days into 3s, morning, afternoon, evening. I'm going to ask the customer to come in right away this morning, afternoon, or evening, and then I'm going to offer them the next day part. It is afternoon right now. Do you want to come in right away this afternoon, or would this evening be better? This is how we talk urgency. This is how we create urgency. And this is how we get more customers to schedule an appointment and get more of those customers to come into the dealership showroom. So I'm going to pop back here. Customer says, well, no, I can't come today, but I could probably come on Saturday. Hey, no problem. I do have some appointments available. I have one appointment available at 10:15, or do you think 11:45 would be better? Okay, so I can go ahead and select the appointment time right here. Another technique that I just use is to use the 15 and the 45. The reason I use the 15 and the 45 is to create more legitimacy in the appointment setting. If I say, hey, what time do you want to come in? 4 or 5 o'clock tonight? We're not setting the stage for the customer to believe that this is a real appointment, because guess what? For digital retailers, it is a real appointment. So using the 15 and 45 as a technique for appointment setting is a great way to skyrocket how many customers will actually set an appointment and how many customers will actually visit the dealership showroom for that appointment. So let's go ahead and go back here. So I'm going to say it's 10 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and hit complete. So at this point, what our Express Cash Offer tool is going to do is it allows me to send a quote to the customer, and I can save this information right to my dealership CRM. So with our technology, we have an automated integration between for a digital retailing technology, Express Cash Offer for trade value, to the dealership CRM by providing an ADF XML email. All of this information is automatically going to go into the dealership's CRM. If the customer is already in the CRM, this is a great way to create that opportunity, attaching it to that existing customer record. That is what I would recommend. And if you're using a CRM that does it that way, that's the best way to do it. If you're using a CRM that's going to create a new opportunity for every lead, I would not send this deal information. I'm going to go ahead and hit next. And then you can see here, what we're also doing is we're providing this redemption certificate. We call it a redemption certificate. It's actually a trade value certificate for this 2023 MDX. So you can see I have the $37,965 value right there. We have the range from 35,462 to 39,216, and then we have the value certificate here. So what I want to do now is I want to share with you So this information automatically got emailed to the customer. And when a customer schedules an appointment through the technology, it also is going to automatically add. So I'm going to share this with you again. Okay, so what happened is Express Cash offer for your 2023 Acura MDX from this Acura dealership. I schedule an appointment on November 8th for 10:30. I can add this right to my calendar right from the email that we're sending. So you can see that's going to add, and it's going to include the redemption certificate URL right in that appointment. So I can go ahead and click Save. Now it's added to my calendar. Additionally, you can see here that we have the Express Cash offer. We have the branding around Express Cash offer for our dealership. And this is another one of those old school versus new school solutions. This is Express Cash offer. This is how digital retailing is done. This is what makes me a digital retailer versus an old school retail guy, even though I'm old enough to be an old school retail guy. And I also want you to pay attention to the language that we're including in this email that we're sending to the customer. I love this language. I think it makes total sense. Hey, we've purchased thousands of vehicles from people just like you, and with the increased demand for pre-owned vehicles, you could be next. You'll receive a great offer up front, no hassles. If you have your title, we'll hand you a check on the spot. We'll even take care of paying off your loan if you have one. You can trade your vehicle, or you can trade in your old vehicle for a new one, or you could sell it to us. Either way, we'll buy your vehicle. Express Cash offer, $37,965, 2023 Acura MDX. All of this information. And at every step, we're adding credibility to the entire process, removing friction, adding credibility. That is the differentiator between a digital retailer and an old school retail guy. Let's continue to add credibility. To do that, what I want to do now is I want to talk about how we can deliver on the expectations that are created when a customer visits the dealership showroom. So if it were me, if I had an appointment scheduled for 10:30 on Saturday, and I know that it is for the Express Cash offer, and what our goal is to move that customer into a vehicle inspection, I would be prepared for the visit. I would have a folder with the customer's name on it, and inside that folder, what I would have would look just like this. So this is those Express Cash offer certificates. You can see that I have all of the photos right here from my example, but you can see that I have a check for the value. Of course, I printed this one out about 2 months ago, so the price has dropped a little bit since then, $40,382. And then here is my overall presentation of numbers, which includes my 1-star value, my 2-star value, my 3-star value, and so on. Looks like I have a phone call coming in, so I'm going, this is what's great about doing this live. I'm going to go ahead and switch this back over. And this URL right here is exactly that, that same certificate. So the 35,462 all the way up to 39,216. Now, the first thing that I would do is when the customer gets in the dealership showroom, I would invite them in. Now, I've already done my appointment setting, right? I said, please, I wrap up my phone call with the customer. Okay, I have your appointment for 10:30 on Saturday. Now, is there any reason that you wouldn't be able to make it here at 10:30 on Saturday for your appointment? Customer says no. Great. Now, just do me a favor. When you arrive at the dealership, just let the person who greets you know that you have a VIP Express Cash offer appointment with me, David Farmer. I'm going to have all of your information ready to expedite your vehicle inspection and then lock down the appointment. And of course, we're going to do a follow-up. I like the 2-day, 2-hour, 2-minute rule, but we can talk about that one on a different visit. What I want to talk about now, let me see if I can share my screen again here. There we go. So I'm going to sit down with my customer and I'm going to start going over this information. Let's just make sure I have this right. So I have your information here. Is this correct? Got the VIN number. I'll have to get the actual miles when we do the vehicle inspection. And then I got the VIN number and so on. Okay, so great. So what we need to do now is we just need to do a quick vehicle inspection. We need to find exactly where your vehicle is going to rate between these. And this is how I would be starting that sales process. I haven't talked about what the customer wants to do to replace this vehicle. I haven't asked them how much they want to put down, how much they owe on this vehicle, what their monthly payment is. I've not asked them any of that information. I haven't asked them what their credit is. I'm only focused on what happened during the dealership appointment setting process so far. I got the customer in, I'm going to focus on the trade, and then I'm going to move into potentially asking the customer if they're looking for a replacement vehicle. But let's handle this first. Now, as a side note, as we get wrapped up here, what I would also be doing if I had Intice 360 at my dealership, which I wish I did back then, what I would be doing is I would be creating an express cash offer value certificate for every customer that I'm presenting figures for right now. What most salespeople or what most old school sales managers are doing right now is they're flipping a sheet over, they're writing down a figure, and the salesperson is delivering that. Or they're using some other third-party solution to validate the offer. This is a great way to brand your dealership, to create separation between you and other dealerships, and move the customer into making a purchase decision or a selling decision today while they're here. Now, we've covered a lot of ground today. I appreciate you tuning into this. My name is David Farmer. I am a digital retailer, and this is exactly how you can become a digital retailer too.